What's going on, guys? It's the Bigs Podcast, episode number 209. And today we're going to talk about the week that was in week 24 with our esteemed commissioner, Ben Nisman. Benny, you were my opponent this week. You are my roommate and my best friend. I love you so very much for creating this league. Let's talk about this week. How are you feeling after week 24?
I feel great, Joe. Thank you, and I love you too. It's been a very, very interesting season. We finally have our finalists. Just 1 week left until we crown our champion for 2025. It's been definitely a very interesting season. It's really flown by, too.
Absolutely. I feel like it was just yesterday that Frank was over here and we were talking about the draft, and I was telling him that I was going to take Michael Harris in the third round, and you were in the hallway puking your guts out.
Yeah, that's exactly how I remember it. And that's one reason, Joe, that and we'll get into like several reasons why I really wasn't bummed out this whole week as the whole thing was transpiring. The fact that I was so sick right up until the draft, to walk away and say I was in the top 25% after all that. Everyone looked at my team after the draft and said this team does not look that promising through the season. Everyone was questioning why hasn't this team lost in 11 straight weeks. That I was kind of finding different little pieces, a la Joe Adele or Mark Vientos very late in the season, or Cam Schindler, or even when I got Buxton in about week 5.
Mhm.
So it was really just a squad that kind of was pulled from free agency and random spots. The 3 trades prior to the season didn't even matter at all. And I'm very, very satisfied with what happened. And I think going into the matchup, as we spoke last week, I knew from go that it was going to take something close to a miracle for me to beat you, Joe. Besides the fact that I beat you in 2019 and 2021 in the semifinals, the fact that I beat you during the year, and finally, most importantly, the fact that you had a doubleheader and 4 for the Braves against the Nationals, the Dodgers against my pitchers in LA. So I'm thinking on Monday, you know what? Might as well just go for it, even though I'm very, very behind here. If Suarez and Sanchez pitch well against the Dodgers, maybe I have some chance. But if they get demolished in these first 2 days, the season's over anyway. So I might as well just go all in. And when you look at the results, and you and Jason will get deeper into it when you guys talk about it, I won 1 offensive category. Or did I even end up taking steals, or did we end up tying it? Either way, if I wasn't even going to win more than 1 offensive category, I wasn't winning the matchup. So I would always, and I don't know how other people feel about losing by a blowout versus losing a close matchup. Like for me, when I lost in 2023 in the semifinals to Mike Haber, and the difference was just play Juan Soto. If you play Juan Soto on Sunday, you go to the finals, you probably win the whole thing. That was tough. That was a really, really tough pill to swallow. Mm-hmm. This year, I wasn't even close. I wasn't going to beat Henry. I wasn't going to beat Josh. I wasn't going to beat Joe. No, this team was not meant to go further than the Final Four. You can argue it probably couldn't. You can argue at least that it might not deserve to be in the top 6. But I think with my management, it belonged at least in the top 6, if not the top 4. And I just look back and I say, you know what? From where I started up until draft, until that moment where I'm laying down in the bathroom, like not even like seated position, occasionally the fetal position, but mostly lying down in the bathroom up until about 5 minutes before the draft starts. And I'm laying I'm not even in my own bedroom. Like I'm laying in the guest room with like my hand reaching out to the mouse, with the computer with an HDMI plugged into the TV so that I can see everything much bigger, because like trying to squint and looking at a smaller screen was just going to make me sicker. So I just look at the whole thing and I'm just thinking, I can't even believe I'm in this spot. So I'm just thrilled. I think that this is exactly what was supposed to happen. We'll get more into why this is so apropos that it's these two gentlemen in the finals. But yeah, it's been a solid season, but it definitely wasn't meant to be, and I'm totally okay with it.
Well, I want to congratulate you on a top 2 finish this season in the regular season, getting that bye and finishing in the top 4. You had a fantastic season nonetheless, sir. It was, of course, predicated by that long unbeaten streak toward the beginning of the year, starting in week 5 with a 17-3 win over Frank and running all the way until you lost to Bobby in week 16, 10-9.
Yeah, 11 straight without a loss. That was a big part of the success. I don't think anyone could really understand why the team wasn't like just taking a big L. And I noticed that the reason why it wasn't happening, part of it was just me, creating stats here and there. But a lot of it was that if you go through the schedule, you'll and everyone looks at this carefully through the streak and most of the season, Joe, I didn't face a team that had a hot offense and a hot pitching at the same time, like in the same week. Either I was facing tough pitching or I was facing tough hitting, but never both. It just never happened. So like firstly, I don't want to downplay it because I believe I had the toughest schedule this whole season, which is just, it says more about the fact that I ended up in the top 2 with when I looked at the schedule. I'm like, wait, I got to play both the Habers twice. I got to play Bobby twice. I got to play Brian twice. I got to play Frank twice. I got to play Jimmy twice. I got to play Cody twice. Like, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, if I just had to play you twice, I'd say it was the hardest schedule of all time.
Yeah, but, very well could have been. And you only had me week 8 after the first gauntlet.
Yeah. But listen, I only had a losing record against one opponent this whole season. And that was Bobby. Bobby beat me twice. The only other ones are Ari and Chris. I tied with them, but no one else had a winning record against me the entire season until obviously the playoffs. But yeah, I'm thrilled with how it went. Thank you very much. I think it was about as good of a season as I could throw down, like based on the circumstances, how like the draft started and what the schedule looked like. So. I couldn't be more satisfied than that. I think anything beyond the semifinals is just gravy. On the other side, though, Joe, you going to 4 straight semifinals without a W, it just seemed like it was meant to be for you. The first time in 5 years going to a final. Does it feel like 2020 is a long time ago when you beat Brian in the semis?
Yes, it does. It was a long time ago, and thankfully we're gone from that COVID 2020 year because that was an absolute nightmare. This has been a much better experience over the last 4 years with actual full seasons of baseball, and I'm happy that I've made the playoffs. I'm happy that I've made the semifinals. But to not make the finals for 4 straight seasons after being there, it was really annoying, especially the final 2 years against Josh.
Yeah, because those were 2 very, very close ones that came down to the Sunday. In fact, I think 2023 was even closer than 24 because 24, I think, was a situation where you needed the Phillies to break out against Tyler McGill, and everything kind of just swung in Josh's favor on a Sunday, where in 2023, he needed just like a relief appearance very, very late in the Sunday night Dodgers game to seal it. And it happened to be that your pitcher was on the mound, and if the Dodgers just scored a run, then your guy would have been in line for the win, and that would have won the semifinals. So I remember 2023 coming down to like 90 feet.
Yeah.
So it's that one I would, like, you and I both just on that final, like on that Sunday against the Habers, like that's heartbreaking. last year, even you and I went to that Phillies Mets game, that final home game in 24, and you were in good spirits.
Yeah.
You know, you were rooting the Mets on. You know, you were just, whatever happens, I'm happy to be here, and it was a fun season. So I think you took it very, very well last year, and here you are. The fantasy gods blessed you, and like we talked about, the proof of concept of going for a team that you think is going to be an over 500 team or a great team, and picking as many offensive players or even pitchers from that team has been the strategy. Mm-hmm. This has been the best group, I think, out of those teams. Though I think the 2023 team, that was that was like a Superman team, the 2023 team. But it was sort of a mix. Like, yeah, it had a lot of Tampa Bay Rays in there, mm-hmm. but you sprinkled in some a Schwarber, a Strider. There were a lot of different things in that. Isaac Paredes, I believe, was in that. Mm-hmm. So there was a couple of different things going on. But this was very specific. It's two teams. It's as many guys as possible on those two teams. And it was tough for any team to compete with this year. As long as those teams were hot, you were good to go. And we'll get into predictions later. But yeah. It's a team with in an advantageous position, just like last week.
I certainly hope you're right, man. It's been a long time since I've been playing in the final week for anything, and I'm super excited to be up against Josh. Josh has been an absolute juggernaut this season. He is the #1 seed, and he takes down the win over Henry Collins. What'd you see here, man?
Well, that's a great question. Firstly, I saw one of the more shocking comebacks we've had in a long time. I mean, in my memory of in a playoff, in something that's like that tight, incredible. I had Henry winning eventually because of the good start that he had for the first 4 days. Mm-hmm. And by Friday night, I'm pretty positive that a lot of guys looked at this and said, Henry's going to the finals. But how foolish are we to just count out Josh Haber? And mm-hmm. he just chipped away. And I don't exactly know how it happened, because even in the middle of Friday, I still had Henry winning. And when I went to sleep Saturday night and I looked at the stats Sunday, I go, not only is Josh winning this by 1 and he has the tiebreaker, it seems like every stat that's close is the ones he's losing by. And the stats that he's winning by a good margin. So it kind of looks like Henry's in trouble here because of all the close stats that are right now in Henry's favor. Mm-hmm. Henry needs a really, really big Sunday, and he needs Josh, who is right now, in my opinion, the best manager in the league, to fall flat on his face on his decision that he makes. It wasn't likely going to happen, and this is what was meant to be now. Henry had an incredible season. Yeah. I'm so proud of this guy. I mean, I've talked nonstop about how much he's developed and how much he's learned. I hope he's not bummed out on how this weekend turned out, because it looks like the finals was in hand. What I will say, and obviously I don't have a crystal ball, like I don't really know, but we talked about it. If Henry advances here, he is in a very, very, very tough spot to try to win the final. Not just because of the experience factor that you've been in this situation much more than he has, just, again, the fact that he had about 1 to 2 hitters going on Monday. You had about like 12 out of 9 possibilities. So it just didn't seem like it was likely that he would go any further. And when I think about that being a final, and I thought it through in my mind before we were going to talk, like, if it's Henry, here's the conversation. Henry's had an incredible year, like one that we're going to remember for ages. But it's almost like when Michigan had an amazing NCAA run, mm-hmm. and then they just ran into Virginia and lost, or ran into Villanova a few years later and lost. And you look back and you're like, well, this is almost like the 2024 Mets. Like, and if it ends up being like the Yankees and the Mets in the final, If the Yankees win, it'll be cool. It'll be their 28th championship. If the Mets win, it'll be a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
If Henry goes on and wins the finals here, it is the greatest story in Big's history. It's just the facts. Like, that's how we would look at it. We'd say this is the most miraculous, incredible story in Big's history. And he's already like on the precipice of that with the season that he had, how he finished in week 22, the second half run, knocking out Cody in the first round. It's still special. It's still going to be arguably the main storyline. It kind of depends on what happens here in the final week, but could be arguably the main storyline of the season, like the season of Henry Collins. This is not just another guy that we can say, Henry on the schedule. It's TRD. It's the real deal. And we have to treat him like that. So my hat's off to this guy. A well-deserved round of applause. He's been unbelievable. He's going to be very, very dangerous many, many years to come.
No doubt. I do not look forward to seeing him on the schedule in 2026 and beyond. This guy is a dangerous manager, has proven that he absolutely fucking belongs here. And I look forward to seeing what he does in year 4, man. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. And like we said, he didn't have to make the playoffs this year. He certainly didn't have to win the first round. I am the silly man who said there's a very, very, very small chance that Henry makes the playoffs 3 years in a row in this league. I mean, to be top 6 out of 16 on any year is incredible, but to do it 3 straight years is just not a fluke anymore. So it's just that one of those guys now. It's just like, shit, I got Henry on the schedule. I got to deal with that, and I actually can't, mail it in. I actually have to really think about every single one of my ads and who I play, who I sit, who I decide not to start as far as pitchers go, how to delegate these ads. It's something that I really didn't think hard about in 2023. Now I have to think a lot harder about it. And he made that possible. He made us remember the name Henry Collins as far as the bigs go, for sure.
Yeah, he stamped his name on this and many other seasons, just putting his name in the storybook here. As for our reigning and defending champion who takes down the win over Henry Collins this week, it is the 3rd straight finals appearance for Josh Haber. What do you think about that? Because that is historic.
Yep, never been done before. 3 finals in a row. We've had guys that were certainly close. You were probably the closest ever going from 2017, 2018, and I stopped you from going in 2019. But aside from that, I don't think we've had anyone come this close. So this is amazing. If you can do the back-to-back thing, you join a very, very prestigious company, you and Jay Ferraro, the only 2 guys to ever go back-to-back. So the reason why I think this is the best final, number one, these are to me the 2 best teams all year, right? As far as just you look at the rosters, I think these are the 2 most dominant teams. I'd probably say Cody is the only one that maybe you can argue. He's got a bunch of heavy hitters and a great pitching staff. He might have been that other team that you could say, okay, it's these 3 when you look at the rosters. These are the 3 deepest rosters. But just for argument's sake, let's say these are the 2 best teams on paper. The other thing going on, Joe, is that you've had to slay some demons, the guys that have beaten you in the semifinals the last 6 years from 2019 on. Myself in 2019 and 21, Jimmy in 22, and then Josh in 23 and 24. So in the first round, you get through the 2022 matchup. You get through Jimmy. The next round, you got the guy that's taking you out in 2019 and 2021, myself. You dealt with that demon. If you didn't play Josh in the final, it's like, okay, so you got through Henry. Here it's like, okay, you can just demolish everyone that's taking you out in the finals. I think that's the coolest story. I think that's the most appropriate story to see. Okay, will Josh go back-to-back, or will Joe demolish all these demons? I think that's the most appropriate story, in my opinion.
I think it's a great story, man. I tend to agree with you. I was rooting for Henry very hard because of the story that he's put together. And I would be lying if I wasn't saying that I was a bit selfish in thinking that I can beat Henry better than I can beat Josh. So
yeah, it's a better matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was just an easier matchup for me and for the team. So it's in my own interest to root for the guy who's been the underdog the whole time.
Sure.
That being said, I'm excited to play Josh. I'm excited to get him for the third year in a row. I was his first ever opponent in the playoffs, and I beat him when he made the playoffs for the first time in 15 years a few years ago. But ever since then,
he lost to Costas that year.
Yeah, he lost to Costas that year, and I was hoping it would be me. It wasn't me. I thought it was Costas. I thought it was me. Anyway, congratulations, Josh. You've made it again for the third year in a row. I really want to know what the light switch that was flipped a few years back, that we've gone from a team that kind of scuffled for years to this juggernaut that just won't stop.
I don't know, man, because it did begin in 2021 when he broke through first time in 15 years. But now, since 2021, the guy's been in the playoffs 4 out of 5 years, right? So, like, when you look at that, it's just like it's a really, really legitimate streak that just tells you it's not just the guys that he's picking; it's the way he plays the game. And from my understanding, there was the big change was that Josh had a specific job where he could not touch the phone for hours, like not just like okay, maybe occasionally he can get a break and get to his phone, but when you have that break, like you probably have only a certain amount of time. Maybe you need to eat or whatever it is. I don't know the entire situation, man, but what I do know is that his ability to get to the phone was extremely limited. Extremely. And it only started getting easier around the COVID season, 2020. He actually had a pretty solid year. I think he was only a couple of stats out of getting into those top 8 spots. So there was something, there wasn't just like, I don't think it was like an education flip. Like, I don't think it was just like, oh, now he knows how to play the game. I really don't think that was ever it. It was the inability to compete physically because he wasn't able to get to the phone regularly. So now he's got a job it's a little bit more carefree. He can get to the phone. He can set his alarms and get to the phone in time. And that's the big difference.
Well, it's fantastic that he's got a better job. I hope it's better paying. I hope it's better work-life balance. I hope the whole thing is better for him. Certainly better for his success in the bigs. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and I'm grateful for it because when he got better, the league got better.
Yes.
And every situation where you seem like whoever it is, oh, I have more time on my hands than I used to have still in the league. Like I love hearing that. I like knowing that we're going to have more and more activity. And once that happened, the whole league changed because it just broadens the whole thing. It makes the whole thing more competitive. So it's been really nice to see. And you can't look back and say this guy hasn't deserved to be in this situation. He deserved to be in the finals in 2023, getting through you.
Yeah.
He deserved to win the whole thing in 24, not just beating you in the semis, but probably losing 6 out of 7 days to Jay and somehow finding a way to still win a championship. Stopping Jay from winning his third, which looked pretty imminent. The fact that he's in this final 3 years in a row is already incredible. It's magical. He's not required to win this one. Like going to 3 finals and getting 1 championship out of it, it's enough. But if he manages to go back-to-back here, it's beyond special.
So that begs the question, Benjamin. It is myself versus Josh Haber in the finals of the 2025 big season. Who do you got?
Yeah, so far, am I 4 for 4 here?
You took Henry, didn't you?
No.
Oh, you took Josh last week.
I'm pretty sure I took Josh.
Well, if that's the case, you're definitely 4 for 4.
Yeah, because I feel like I took Josh because I remember saying, like, if Josh has the tiebreaker, it's going to be hard to root against him. Like,
That's true.
I assume that he would. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm 4 for 4 here. It's going to be close. I have it at -2.5 in favor of Joe. Winning by 3. Yeah. Maybe I should switch that to -1.5. Yeah, no, for whatever reason, I say like 11-8 or 12-9. I think Josh's offense overperformed this past week. To an extent, I think your pitching underperformed a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of feel like you're overdue. Not in the sense like, oh, you've been to 9 semifinals, like you got to win a final. No, because the roulette board resets every single week, every single season. So I'm not a big believer in like he's overdue because of this history. You know what I mean? But the same way I can't like say, I'm just as an example, Joe's made the playoffs 12 years in a row. Joe has 4 championships, so we have to say that Joe is the best manager in the bigs. I can't say that right now because of Josh's recent success.
Yeah.
I just feel like at this point you're due, as in like the hitters forming on the final week. Not to mention the Braves are beginning against Washington. Yes, Josh does have a couple of Braves on his team, so that should help a little, but like certainly not the heavy hitters. In order for Josh to win this, the Dodgers and the Braves have to go flat for a week. Other than that happening, I can't see Joe losing this thing. I love that it's 2 guys that have been there before, so they're very aware of, I don't need this guy. This guy can go into the free agency. No reason to have this guy anymore. Like, kind of knowing the trends and how in the final week of the baseball season plays out, we have the right 2 guys for it. And we're going to learn a lot about the bigs and how, and if it's still the right play to have the final week of the bigs being the final week of the season. And it's always been one that I've been in the balance of, should we go with a 21-week season just so like guys aren't getting screwed over when like players are getting pulled after 1 at bat or 2 at bats. It's very hard to predict compared to all the other weeks. And it's been successful for us, but all we need is just like 1 week where there's just like a ton of rain and they cancel a bunch of games and then they don't reschedule them because those teams are out of the playoffs and Manfred's like, why do these teams need to play? You know, and that could absolutely happen.
Yeah.
So like we do take a major risk, and I would hate to see a championship crowned to somebody based on the fact that like a team ran out of ads because they had too many horrible way for it to end. So let's hope that it's an extremely competitive matchup. I think everyone watching wants to see something close. No one wants to see a blowout. We did get 2 blowouts here, but at least Henry and Josh's matchup, you couldn't totally call it on Sunday. Like, it's still something that was pretty intense the whole week, whereas you had won the matchup on Monday. Like I said, dude, if all I did was win 1 or 0 offensive stats, like, forget it. Like, I don't need to be in this final. That's okay. But this is where you really have to put on your big boy pants and figure out a way to beat the guy that's been the star of the league the last 3 years.
No doubt. I appreciate having your support and your prediction in my favor. I look forward to this week, and I really hope that we make it a historic final because this is 2 really big gladiators going at it this year.
Yeah, and then what I'm also hoping is that we're not in a situation on Sunday where we don't know who has won. Like, when we spoke last week, we had assumed that Henry had done it, right? But the truth is, folks, like, we couldn't officially call it because Henry had one batting average, 263 to 261. If for whatever reason, and errors, I think, was another stat that either was tied or Henry was winning by one. So all an official score needed to do was change his mind about one hit, Cody wins, or one error, Cody wins. And in my, like, we were talking about it, man, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, dude, it would sound really, really silly if we're talking about Henry, the greatest win in quarterfinal history, one of the greatest playoff wins in Bigs history, and then we wake up the next day and Cody is in the semifinal.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that happened, but like I said, man, I hope we're not in a situation where, like, on Sunday, and then we have to look at Monday and be like, oh, stat correction, that's the difference in who's the champion.
We don't want that. Neither one of it. I know I can speak for Josh on that. He doesn't want that kind of a win. We certainly want to make the minimum because that is the number one rule in this league. So you make the minimum, and then everything's gravy after that. You don't want to see any fairies floating around on Sunday night for a championship. That would just be absolutely terrible.
God forbid. In fact, two extremely respectful managers in the final last year, Josh and Jay, made the decision that they wouldn't pick up players for that doubleheader that the Braves and the Mets were going to have that were going to be allowed by Yahoo. They were going to include it and say this is still part of the season. And Josh and Jay, they looked at each other and they said, you know what? This isn't right. Like, let's not play like for that because it's so unique that it's just not worth it for us to call a championship on that game. Like, let's play a 7-day matchup the way it should be. And I thought that was just an unbelievable show of sportsmanship from two guys that could have definitely said, like, no, the hell with you. Like, I'm going to try to win no matter what. Yeah. But they both came to that agreement. It was just, and I didn't know about it. You know, Jay had texted me and said, like, this is what we have decided. I go, I'm glad that you guys policed it yourself. Well, like, when you guys do that, like, make it like a democratic situation, if you will. I appreciate that. So if we could get something like that, just a gentleman's game that's handled in 7 days, God willing, that's what it should be.
And I think that's exactly what it will be, man. I think the playoff race and the way things are shaking out now, I don't think there's going to be any game 163s. And as long as Brother Nature doesn't go fucking with us this week, we should be all right.
Yeah. Let's hope for a great final. Congratulations, Joe. Congratulations to Josh. These two guys, they really, really deserved it. And I hope I know you're really, really honored and happy to be at this point. I hope Josh feels the same way, that this really is the best fantasy league there is out there. Certainly the best free fantasy baseball league out there. And that's forget the fact that there's no money involved. Just the pride of knowing that you were number 1 out of 16 with all these guys trying, the name on the trophy and everything else that goes with it, all the accolades, and everyone knows that you're the champion. That's good enough.
One more time, I'm trying to get my name on this trophy here. I'm holding it here in my lap right now, Benjamin. It's been a fantastic 2025 season. I can't wait to see how it finishes up. Thanks so much for being here with me, my friend.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always, Joe. Congratulations and good luck. Long live the Bigs. Can't wait for more. Can't wait for another season. Let's all try to enjoy the off season. And thank you all again. Thank you, Joe. And thank you to the league for making it possible.
Yeah, guys, thank you all for being here all season long, for watching each one of these videos, and for making this league exactly what it is. We would have nothing without you guys. So until next time, it's been real, it's been fun, and it is always real fun in the Bigs. We'll see you tomorrow night with Jason.